on the Frontier, Tales from the Sodden Reach. When last we left I was going to say quartet, but then quintet, sextet. There's 7 of you, including Brother Bross and Ozana. You were in an immense, dark cavern. Immense to the point where you are currently in the cavern, you don't even know how far away the walls to the left and the right are. It's totally dark. The area immediately around you is lit by torchlight. You went searching for Brother Bross, who was missing, and he became fascinated by this small pill bug-like creature, perhaps a foot long. And then Tio was likewise really interested and got down to examine this creature and what it was up to, and discovered that it appeared to be moving almost imperceptibly slowly across the surface of the cavern, leaving behind a sort of etching some kind of strange pattern into the rock. And from your position looking at it, you're on this sort of slightly sloped walkway of dwarven construction. The creature, to the left of the creature, all of the rock floor of the cavern, as far as you can see by the light of the torchlight, has been etched in this strange pattern. And to the right, the rock appears, it has just a different texture and appears untouched by this creature. And I believe Tio asked Caracol, did you ask like what to do with this thing? I can't remember what you asked, or what the message was,
Yeah, more to understand the
creature, for understanding.
Yeah, what it was doing and what it was writing, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the message you got back was, it is an aberration and you must destroy it. And until you destroy it, you suffer a penalty to, I think it's praying, if I'm not mistaken. Sacrifice. Yes, so it's -1 ongoing to pray until you do this thing. Yeah, so that's where you're at. Everybody's there. Braz is still semi, he's uttered a few words. He's still, when you found him, it was almost like he was mesmerized by this creature. He was just kind of staring at it blankly. And he's said a couple things, but otherwise, I guess I want to know maybe a little internal thought of how, I'm drawing a blank. Donald, what's your character's names?
Claudio.
Sorry?
Claudio.
Claudio, sorry, yes. I'm kind of wondering what's going on in Claudio's head during this whole thing. You're muted if you're trying to say something.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I think I was really hoping to see something come out of that interaction. But I think what normally I'm defaulting to is more just like kind of like an amazement of watching a person trying to commune with insect life so directly. So I guess a little disappointed that I didn't see anything different, but more I didn't have super high expectations. Just
so you were sort of fascinated by the exchange, but
right.
But disappointed that it didn't get more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it does sort of make me wonder, like, what else is there to experience, I think, in terms of that religion and just nature in general. But
so your interest is kind of peaked about Caracol? Has that been going on?
Yeah, I think
right,
so. But
Because you took that. I forgot that you were one of the people that chewed the lichen, right?
yeah, and then I think I had a prayer book before we like started off,
Oh
but
yeah,
there was
yeah, yeah.
never anything too like strictly. I don't think I knew too much about it.
Okay, great. And Saphira, what about you as you're sort of standing back watching this exchange with this crazy wild hobbit who calls himself a Caracolian?
I think I'm kind of like after his interaction with the water, the holy water. I'm kind of like, I don't know what this guy's doing, but maybe he knows a little something, like we'll see. I don't know.
Oh, right, because when he drank from the font, he could see things that you couldn't see. And
Yeah.
okay, yep, got it. So there might be some kind of grudging respect happening there.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to get an idea of what you guys were thinking. All right, yeah, so that's the situation. Tio has just sort of received this understanding from a higher power that the only thing to do as far as Caracol is concerned is strike this aberrant creature from the earth. So what do you guys do next?
The last thing I did was picked it up and turned it around. I guess I want to wait and see what it does to the image, the writing or whatever you call it.
Yeah. Did you put it right back around on the track that it had already laid down, or did you move it onto smooth rock, clean rock?
In my head, I was thinking I just picked it up and turned it around right back where it was.
Right where it was. Okay, so it'll be going back over. If it continues its path, it would go back over the place that
Right.
it's been. Okay.
Yeah.
So like a minute goes by. Everybody's standing around. And Azana says, "What are you doing? What are we waiting for?" And the thing, like Tio, you're close enough and you're paying close enough attention where you can actually see it. You can see like like this covered in these kind of chitinous plates, right? And you can see the segments between the plates on its body. Just you think it's like watching the minute hand on a clock, where you think like it's moving. I can tell it's moving, but it's like incredibly slow. So after a minute, it hasn't moved far enough for you to see what's underneath it. Do you want to keep waiting?
I think my God compels me to keep waiting.
All right, so the rest of you guys,
what are you doing with this bug? What? Why are you watching it? Does it speak?
Sort of like whip around in the torchlight and say, it's a blasphemous creature. We must undo the writing it's written, and destroy it.
I think we all need a little bit of sleep, huh? Maybe we should go back to the cave and make camp. And tomorrow we can explore.
Yes,
good.
This Azana says this thing will be here tomorrow. Look, it's barely moving, and she's like helping Bras up to his feet. And Saphira, you observe the situation. This like minute goes by where you guys are waiting for the bug to move, and then you look down. You're on this walkway, which is a very kind of shallow slope going down further into the cavern, into this vast space that you haven't explored yet. And do you remember earlier I said when you topped the rise, you saw in the distance this kind of shaft of light coming down in the far, far distance? You guys remember that? Like some great distance away, you couldn't really tell how far, but there was this bright light coming from above, from the ceiling. And enough time has gone by where the quality of that light, you can tell by now that it's sunlight or light coming from the outside, where it's like maybe far enough into the morning where enough light's coming in where that shaft of light is brighter and illuminating a little more of the landscape of the cavern as it comes down. And you see that it's falling at an angle across because of the time of day. So it appears, you deduce because it looks like sunlight, that it's some kind of hole in the roof of the cave, in the ceiling. And in the ambient light from that bright shaft of sunlight, you can make out probably, I mean, again, scale is almost really hard to gauge because of all the darkness surrounding all this stuff. But you see in the distance below you a great, roughly flat area of the cavern. And the light is partially illuminating what looks like 2/3 of a huge crater in the floor of the cavern. And there looks to be some kind of structure surrounding the crater, but you can't, you see bit like poking up as kind of silhouettes against the sunlight. You see what looks like, I don't know, posts or columns or something like that way down that way.
How far away is that? Like how far down?
You're gonna guess that it's hard to tell because there's nothing for scale, but you're gonna guess that it's at least 300 yards, 400 yards away. So like 4 football fields.
Wow. Yeah. And is there a clear way to get down? Like looking off at is there like stairs going down?
You guys are on this walkway that appears to sort of go in that direction. So it looks like if you kept descending on this walkway, it would take you towards this.
Okay. All right. I turn to Amu and say, did your songs ever tell you anything about a crater? Point over to the...
Well, no, but if you look, remember from the cave we saw, there was a hole. Remember? And I asked Brother Brass, you saw this hole in the picture.
He sort of turns and looks up at you and sort of nods his head.
Perhaps this was the hole in the picture, but I don't know what it's about.
What was this picture? Where was this? Was this in the other?
The mountain and the one room, and then the mountain in the room with the fountain have the same shape, but with a hole.
Right.
And this was at the temple area, when you guys were at the temple area.
Yeah.
Okay.
As if something's changed, and then but it looks like something is built down there, so worth exploring.
Well, how's everybody feeling?
Tired.
Ozana says, I don't think it's good for Bros to be venturing deeper into these caves, and I will, her voice, what's her voice? I must return him to the entrance to be safe. He has not been he was up in the middle of the night, has gotten no sleep. He must rest. You may, do as you will. And then, of course, the good-hearted Evaristo offers to go with them. I will go with you back to the entrance.
Well, what about the rest of you guys? How are you feeling in your health places?
Your health places.
I could have used this full night's rest, I'll be honest.
Me too.
I guess I could. Oh yeah, darn. I need to pray. I can like lay hands on people, but I don't have a lot of favor right now. I haven't chatted with Caracol lately, so.
Do you want to pray right now, or do you want to wait to do that at a more appropriate time?
Well, I would be if we wanna go down there today, I would, or like right now, I would pray now. Otherwise, I would just wait to go back to the entrance.
Right. So I guess the question is that, what's the consensus on descending to investigate this place, or returning to kind of regroup at the cave entrance? Sounds like.
I have some very much interest in exploring, but I think we need a few things before we leave this place. We need some more food, and we need some rest. And I think that if we could take Brother Brass back to Sidaro, maybe Amando could heal him, perhaps. And very much, I would like to take those cows back to Sidaro. I don't know if this is possible, but your sister is in need of a cow. And
Well,
do you think she would like a cow? Or maybe a whole herd of cows?
I don't think she'll know what to do with them.
Maybe their crystals make them
Jason, you're
resistant to
muted.
white rot. Maybe with the crystals, they will not be affected by the white rot like your sister's yak was.
It's a great idea. We can take them to her. We'll find out what she says.
Well, if we leave here, I don't care to come back. I mean, I have a quest of my own. You know, we want to go find the snail riders and go to the north. So you all may return here, but I think that it would be parting ways.
Oh, I meant take the cows with us. Take them back to Sidaro on our way home.
No, I know. I mean, I just don't want to come back and investigate this this crater if we go back to the town. It's quite a journey.
Oh, no. I just meant maybe we spend the next day. I can set some snares and collect some food. We can look for firewood, rest, and see if we can figure out a way to lure those cows. And then when we have a little bit more energy, we can explore the cavern. And then if we find nothing, we go home.
All right.
That plan amenable to? Okay. So am I right in interpreting that would mean going back, right now to the entrance and sort of setting up that camp and then spending some time collecting, trying to hunt and forage, and then as situation permits, come back to investigate the cavern. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, we
Okay.
have all been attacked and been through a lot. We need to rest.
Okay. All right. So, and Tia, was there anything else you wanted to do? I mean, I guess in all this time and all this conversation, you do see that the creature has maybe covered a 1/16 of an inch. And in that 1/16 of an inch, in the kind of intricate pattern that it's, so you're paying super close attention to this thing. You're right down there. You're peering at it. It appears that when you compare it to the ground immediately to the left, it looks like it's kind of overlaying it's like another layer of the pattern on top of the existing layer. So instead of erasing it, it appears to be writing on top of the same surface. And you're so close now looking at it, and you've been studying it and everybody else has been talking and you've just been concentrating on this. What is this thing that's this aberration in the eyes of your god? You notice that the cave floor to the right, the cave floor that you previously thought was untouched, you notice that very, very faintly in that surface, you see the same pattern. And you realize that surface of the cavern floor, which you thought was untouched by this thing, in fact, it looks like it bears very, very extremely faded version of the same pattern that it's etching into the rock.
So like another bug had come before it and made the pattern?
That would be a logical interpretation. Yeah, either another bug or the same bug, something else, but the pattern had been made and it is so old that it's like faded somehow.
And do I get a sense that that this, like, the making the pattern over top is like confusing the writing, or is it scribbling out the writing, or is it?
I would say if you were somebody who could read this stuff, that what it's doing now would confuse the reader.
Okay.
Like if you were, it would be the equivalent. I mean, assuming something somewhere can read this, it'd be like writing a sentence and then writing another sentence on top of that, and then writing another sentence on top of that, and trying to decipher what that meant. It's such an intricate pattern and so dense that, it looks like already like several sentences on top of itself.
Oh, so this new bug is not making the same identical pattern as what's already on the floor. It's faded.
Well, it's like the same. I mean, it's so complicated that who knows if it's identical or not. You'd have to bring out a research team because you'd have to record each section of it and compare it to other sections. You see repeating symbols and marks, but nothing that you could call identical to any other part. Like in terms of like a section of it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It would take a lot of study and effort to figure out if this pattern repeats and in what ways it does.
And I get the sense that like this this creature is unnatural, like alien. For it to be like you called it an aberration.
Yeah. I mean, certainly in Caracol's eyes, it is. Your impression from that side is it doesn't belong in this place. You've heard tell and perhaps believe in one way or another about other planes of existence. There may be other places that things can exist and live, whether they're physical places that there's all kinds of theories about that stuff. I don't know how versed Tio himself is in those theories, but whatever this thing is, in the eyes of Caracol, it is unnatural and does not belong in this world.
Okay. I'm going to take out my throwing knife
Okay.
and stab it. If I can't understand it,
Yeah.
then that's what has to happen, I guess.
Okay. And describe to me how you stab it. Well, first of all, describe to me what your throwing knife looks like.
I would think it would just be like a sharpened piece of metal with a cloth handle.
Okay.
Like nothing fancy.
Yep. Okay. And is it like
Maybe even heavy bone or something?
Oh, sure, cool. Like sharpened, the bone of some creature that has really durable bones.
Yeah.
That's great. Let's go with that. That's super cool. Great. So you pull out and where do you keep your throwing knives? Like, where do you reach to pull that out?
Probably just shoved into my belt.
Okay.
My little rope belt.
And is this just like a fierce stab?
I was thinking more like fine. You said there's like the plates.
Yes.
Find one near the front.
Yes.
And go in between.
Okay. Going in between. So between, it's okay. Deal your damage.
Okay. That's 2.
Okay. So you, it's kind of like going into like, if you've got like a cocktail shrimp and you take like a cocktail fork and stick it in there, right? The way that the flesh kind of gives. So you stick it in between those things and you stab down. And there's a gout of black fluid kind of just like shoots up like it's like a pressurized garden hose in terms of the pressure, right? So this stuff shoots up. Roll 1d4.
4.
And you take 7 points of damage.
Okay.
How many hit points do you have?
2. Yeah.
Okay, so this gout of black fluid just shoots up right into your, it just like that. Like you fall back with a scream, and everybody else is, suddenly surprised by that. It's like it sort of hits you with enough force to actually knock you over, and it's like smoking. So there's like this steam rising off your face, and it's completely covering, like it's just like your neck and your face. And you guys, the rest of you see Tio just like blown backwards on his back. He falls off of the walkway on the opposite side, hits the ground, and there's like a twitch, and then he sort of stops moving. Reactions?
I will rush over to see how he is.
Well, you know what? I'm sorry. It was 5 points of damage, not 7, but the result is the same. So you go over to see how he is? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Four is better than 2.
So, Saphira comes over and Tio. So Saphira comes over to check on you. Kneels down. What do you do to check on him?
I mean, I think I'm just. Let's see. He's like burn. Is he still burning?
It's not burning. It's like maybe it was the temperature differential. Like maybe this stuff is hot and the air is so cold. It gets more like steam than smoke. But it hit him with great force, and it's almost like it's not like acidy, but where you see it struck his face, the skin is gone. Okay, so it's like pitted his flesh, and his eye is all blackened. But it's not like smoking like you picture acid. It's like almost like a disintegration has happened. And then, by the way, the thing itself is kind of writhing, and little spouts of this black stuff are kind of shooting out of it. And of course, everybody's kind of giving it, clearance.
So is it okay? But it's still on the. Is it his knife is just stuck in it, or?
Yeah, I think he stuck it hard enough that when he was thrown off of it, yeah, the knife's still stuck in it.
Okay. I think I like run over and I grab my water skin and I start to sort of like wet him with it. Because I'm just like trying to get the.
Oh, trying to like clean him off.
Yeah.
Okay. Like
I kind of like slap his face a little.
Okay.
Avoiding the stuff.
Yeah, so you're the skin. So it's pitted and and just gone where it sort of struck him. Like a section of his nose right here is missing. You can see like part of his cheekbone right here, and all this flesh that has been touched by the black stuff is actually it's turned black. So it's just like stain, like it's like an India ink spill across his face, and it's it's just like completely soaked in, and it's not exactly spreading, but it has that quality like if you draw on a Kleenex with a Sharpie, the way the ink will spread. So just in like the capillaries of his skin, you can see that black ink. It's not spreading, but you can see it after that initial hit. It spread a little bit. Okay. Tio, you're gonna roll. You're gonna roll luck. 2d6 plus your luck.
10.
Okay.
Wow.
The line is, it's a miracle. You're alive with 1 hit point. So Saphira splashes water on you, and but we don't know if you're conscious yet. So do you have the moves list in front of you, JP?
The what?
The moves, the list of various moves from the rules.
No, I just have my cleric.
Okay.
Yeah, I had. If it only did 5 damage, I have 4 hit points left.
Oh, after the 5 damage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you only had 2 to start with. So I thought.
Oh,
you
no.
were dead.
No, I hadn't taken any damage.
Okay,
yet.
then forget. Then okay, then whew,
Sorry.
okay, you're good. Okay, so you then you wake up. You weren't unconscious. The splashing of the water kind of brings you back to.
Okay.
Okay. Phew, that's good. I thought you were. I thought you were basically dead. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. So you recover from this incident.
What's the creature doing?
It's sort of squirming slowly, sort of on its side, back and forth. And I guess those of you that are looking can see, because it's flipped over on its side now, you can see the underside of it, and you just see this kind of like, it looks like a single surface until you see that it's just like thousands of tiny little pinpoint sort of tendrils that it must be like moving on, right? That it must be the kind of that lets it undulate along the ground. So it's just kind of at this point kind of sort of twisting back and forth very slowly as this black fluid kind of finishes exiting it. And the fluid's like spreading, it's kind of slowly kind of oozing downhill.
It's still squirming?
Just very, very slowly, yeah.
Is the blood still spurting out?
It's just oozing out. It's not spurting anymore, but it seems to be. And it's wriggling, is sort of slowing down. It's definitely, or it appears to be, if it operates like other creatures, it appears to be dead.
Okay, I'm gonna go maybe very, very carefully make sure and get my knife back. make sure that it's dead,
Yeah.
and retrieve my knife.
Yeah. So
And
your
also
knife.
thank Saphira for helping.
What do you say exactly to Saphira?
I just give her leg a hug, and then
Before, like, as you're getting up, you just give her a
Mhm.
little hug, and then you go retrieve your knife. And you
Yeah.
pull your knife out of the thing, and your knife, it now looks like Swiss cheese. It's like pitted. It probably will still work as a throwing knife, actually. Well, no, the tip would be gone. So your throwing knife is basically useless. I mean, it's an interesting looking memento because it has
Mhm.
these holes in it, but.
Okay.
And you no longer have to take -1 to pray. Because
Oh, right.
you satisfied Caracol's request.
Okay. I guess I'm just gonna start walking out,
Okay.
walking back up to camp. Yeah.
All right. Any reactions from the other people?
Sort of stunned, but I want to watch our backs as we're leaving, see if this episode has like attracted the attention of anything else.
Okay.
So shining the torch around, and because I guess we were pretty quiet just walking in, but then that seemed to be sort of like a burst of sound, and
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just picking up the rear, watching the backside. Claudio, did you have anything?
Just also shocked, but I gladly avoid the ooze and hop over to scramble behind Theo as they leave.
Okay. Sorry. You make it back up the walkway towards the ridge. Amu, holding the torch up, just keeping an eye behind the kind of still body of the creature sitting in this pool of glistening blackness. Moves, sort of goes away as you move up. When you get to the top of the ridge, you hear the distinct sound of cursing in Elvish from the direction of the cave entrance. Yes, we are doing it. I guess I can't imitate Elvish properly, at least the Elvish in this world. But you hear Ozana uttering some words you don't understand, unless anybody understands Elvish. Anybody can rationalize that. And when you make your way back into the entrance cave, you see Evaristo kind of with his arm around Brass, and 3 of the cattle are inside the cave. Your backpacks have all been kind of pulled open, so there's bright crystals scattered around the floor. And Ozana says, "They've been eating our food." And one of the cows kind of looks over towards you, Amu, and is kind of chewing as it looks over at you.
Is that the one that's in love? Perhaps. Can I recognize her? Is she the same one that I gave food to originally?
Yes, all 3 of these are the ones that came close. The ones came closest to the cave entrance. The ones that were kind of lying down near you, and yes, she's the one that the first one that you fed.
Oh yeah. How many rations do we have left? We had 8, I think, as a group.
Yeah, so, and I'm checking to see who has the lowest luck here. Claudio has the lowest luck. Claudio, will you roll 1d6?
Three.
Okay, so they ate the equivalent of 4 rations. So when you try to gather up all your stuff and assess what's missing, you know, that's what they've consumed. Basically all the bread and anything like hardtack. They left basically everything left behind was meat. They only ate like vegetable matter, whatever you guys had that was comprised of that. And Claudio, also make a luck roll. So 2d6 looks like -1, is that right for luck?
I think that's correct. Oh, oh, it's actually -2. So 5 minus 2 is
Okay.
3.
In the process of this thing that they did, they completely demolished your backpack. Like they tore it apart. You know how they have these trunks, right? So they basically like pulled it apart. Other backpacks, they managed to get the top off and pull things out, but yours they actually demolished. So it could possibly be repaired if you had the right material to do that with, but your backpack has been rendered unusable.
Well, that sucks.
Well, now they will follow us anywhere. Think of it this way: we will have the most famous cows in the whole of the sunken coast. What's it? Is that what it's called? The Sodden Reach. And they will be faithful to us till the end. I believe so.
I think you're right, but I want to be angry about it for a while.
Can I borrow your rope again, Safira?
Go for it.
I would like to try to. Is there any objects like a tree or anything that I might be able to tie a cow to? A pillar?
Inside the cave, there's nothing. Outside the cave, not too far away from the entrance on the slope, there's like a kind of tough-looking, a gnarled old tree growing out of the rock that looks like you could tie them to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to find my favorite cow and see if I could perhaps get a rope around her, and we'll lead her over to the tree.
Okay.
To see if the way that I would the cows back home, and see if she's amenable to that kind of thing.
Okay. Sounds like you're trying to negotiate with that cow. Are you offering this cow anything in return? Are you just is it your kind of affection that you're offering this cow, or?
Yeah. It's affection.
Okay.
Memories of bread past.
Okay, so roll charisma to see if you can convince her to. It's just the one that you're trying it with, right?
Yeah, at first, just the one. That didn't work out. I got a 5 minus 2.
So mark charisma. So every time you go to put the rope, you're trying to like loop the rope around her neck. The the trunks just come up and kind of like grab it and like throw it down, and then you try to come up and you try to pat her and whisper to her, and then the tentacles kind of come up and grab it and throw it down. In a number of different ways. At one point, she kind of goes behind you, over your shoulder, grabs it, and puts it on your neck.
Very intelligent.
So she's having none of your yoking.
Maybe we can find a different place to rest and deal with these cows later.
Like a
Rather
place
we-
where the cows won't bother you? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Are all these rooms in the caves, are they all connected? Is there any, I guess, yeah, there's no stairs or anything that we
I think if we stay here with
Yeah.
our stuff, you know, we'll
Yeah.
be okay.
True.
We just left them with piles of food, so.
Well, shall we go forage then, everyone?
Is the night over? Don't we have to finish?
Well, nobody's getting any restful sleep because you guys were all woken up because Brother Bros went missing. So the night's over. It's actually morning out. It's a gray morning. There's like mist filling the river valley down below. There's the lowing and the kind of the lowing of the cows along the slope. And when you look down now, you see the rest of the herd kind of ambling about down there, snuffling amongst the rocks for whatever bits of grass they might be able to find. There's several down along the river. So yeah, it's morning, and you could certainly spend the day foraging and trying to collect food to make up for this loss.
I guess we should make sure we don't run into those other folks who are looking for the crystals. What was their name?
Do you think?
What was it?
What was her name? Lucia Barreto?
Yeah.
You think she's looking for crystals?
Didn't we determine that they were also looking for the cave?
I think that might have been a theory you guys floated. It seemed like they were looking for something. It was weird for them to be out this far from home, and I think there were rumors in Claudio's hometown about her having picked up and left with some other locals, but there was not any clear. It was not definitive what they were looking for. So they might be
Gotcha.
they might be looking for this place, but unclear.
Okay.
I thought they didn't want to join us.
You guys made like some friendly overtures, and they just and you might have offered to go to join you to the crystal. Maybe you made that offer. I don't recall, but in any case, they declined to join.
Oh yeah, because Amu said she knew where the location was, and they said they would find it first or something.
I don't think they said they were. They didn't tell us where they were going, and they didn't seem to follow us. So, if they were going for the cave, they may have tried a different route. It's always possible they were looking for something else. But we should keep our eyes out for them.
So then would the plan be maintain camp in the cave entrance, don't leave the food unguarded, and forage, go hunting? Okay.
Sounds good to me.
And who wants to go hunting? Who wants to spend the day hunting?
I've got snares.
You got snares?
Yeah.
Great.
I was thinking about setting snares.
Great. So Amu
and looking for berries or whatever.
Amu will go do that. Any Claudia or Saphira, do you have any feelings? I guess Ozana will definitely give that a try. So Ozana will go hunting.
I might stay and try to chill the cows out.
Okay, sounds good.
Or try to get them to be my friendos.
Keep company with some cows.
Yeah.
Claudia, what about you? Do you want to go hunting?
Yeah, I'll go with Amu to help.
So you want to help Amu as opposed to, well, I guess you guys, it's a full day, so you'll each be able to roll for hunting and actually help each other. So we can do it that way. Great. So the two of you guys plus Ozana are going to head out. So why don't we see how that goes? When you are foraging for food. So Amo, you are doing it with your traps. Would you say you're doing it stealthily, using useful knowledge about hunting and trapping, or intuiting the best spots?
I would say using useful knowledge from back on the farm.
Okay.
That was a way of collecting meat.
Okay, so you're going to roll two. This is going to be a intelligence roll. So it's 2d6 plus 0, but you get +1 because Claudio is helping you.
I got 8 + 1, 9.
Okay. And will you roll a d12?
5.
Okay. And also 2d4.
Three plus 2.
Okay. And Claudio, make your hunting roll. Are you doing it so you're not, so we're using the, Amu's using the traps to set traps. How does Claudio hunt when Claudio's in the wild?
Well, I think I look for small animal tracks and don't have any special weapons, so probably just use either my spear or my throwing knife. Or is it the throwing knife?
So do you think it would be throwing knife against small game or spear against something bigger, if bigger things are out there? Maybe it's just based on what you find, maybe depending on...
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Depending on the tracks.
Okay. So, and would you say you're doing it stealthily using your knowledge from the past, or... So there's 3 different things: stealthily, which is a skill, using your knowledge, which is intelligence, or using your intuition to find, to find the best place where these animals might hang out, which is wisdom.
I think I'm using prior knowledge.
Okay. And you get a plus. So +1 to your intelligence roll, 2d6 +1, and then Amu's helping you. Actually, if Amu can describe, I can see how you were helping Amu lay traps and stuff. So how can Amu help you? Amu, you got any ideas about that? How could you reasonably be helpful to Claudio hunting?
I think just reading the landscape and trying to look for any animal sign.
Okay, great, perfect. Yeah, so Claudio rolled 2d6 +1 for your intelligence and +1 for Amu's help.
Okay, I actually have a 0 for intelligence.
Oh, you do? I guess I got it written down.
Cool. Well.
Sweet. Yeah, so roll 2d4.
So 6.
6 total?
Total.
Okay. Okay. And I'm gonna, hey, Saphira or Sophie, will you roll for Ozana to see how Ozana fares out there on her own hunting? So that's 2d6.
3.
Oh, wow.
Was it plus something? I rolled a 3.
Yeah, no matter what, yeah, whatever plus she does have a bonus, but it would not get her up above. Okay, and then will you roll 1d12 for me?
Two.
Okay. All right. So, Amu and Claudio, you guys, you lay all the traps, and you're gonna, come back and check on them later, and then you, Amu, actually knowing the way that the rock, being able to read rock falls and pretty well, and pick out animal trails in areas where it looks like nothing, there's nothing disturbed at all. Amu is pretty good at spotting those. I mean, you're both good at that, but Amu points out this one rocky slope. You guys have ventured a fair distance away from the entrance to the cave, where there's like Amu notices some a number of different intersecting animal trails. So it seems like a good area to go towards. And you guys are kind of climbing this hillside. Claudio, you got your spear out, and you suddenly make a motion to have Amu freeze, and up on this ridge, you see the a four-legged animal, some kind of resembles like an antelope. It's got two kind of curved horns on a white muzzle, and kind of grayish brown fur, kind of like you just see its kind of upper body and neck above this ridge as it's kind of moving towards it, and you get down into position, and right when the most of its body is visible, you hurl your spear, and you hit it, and right in the breast, and it lets out a shriek and topples over, and then you guys start climbing up towards it, and you hear a sudden a trampling sound, and then over the ridge come about a dozen of these same creatures, like a herd of them, and they just run straight down, kind of in your direction, and they're either gonna so it's basically you're facing this kind of sudden flood of fleeing animals, and they're pretty good size. They're the size of deer. So what do you do when these animals are sort of coming down the hillside towards you?
I try to run out of the way.
Okay, so you're just trying to dodge to the side. Ame, what about you?
That sounds smart. I'm going to dodge as well. See if I can just get out of their path.
Okay, so will you guys each roll, make a dexterity saving throw?
3 + 1.
Oh. And
Mine is bad. 4 + 1.
wow. Okay, so you guys each mark dexterity. And you both get knocked down. And you each take 1d4 points of damage, and your armor is good against this. I don't think Claudio would have had your shield out for this, because when you're hunting, you're trying to be quiet and stuff.
Right.
So if you guys are wearing armor, you can subtract that from the damage.
So not my shield.
Yeah, your shield won't.
Okay.
What is the leather armor's armor?
Sorry, what is the what?
Leather armor.
It absorbs 1 point.
I took 3 points of damage.
Wow, what does that leave you with?
8.
Oh, that's right. You're a tough guy. Tough
Yeah.
gal. Tough dwarf.
I took 1 point of damage, so
Okay.
now I'm at 6.
So you just get clipped, and Claudio, you like your shoulder hits a kind of sharp rock outcropping, pretty bruised. Amu, you like go down, right underneath one of these things, and like a hoof, hits you in the head. Like it actually, you're lucky you didn't break a rib. Like you go right underneath one of them, and then when you guys kind of regain yourselves and look down, you see them kind of scattering across the hillside below. So closer to evening, you guys return to the cave entrance, and you've got the big antelope creature strung up on a makeshift pole that you made out of some dead wood, and a string of small, they're little kind of foot long rodents that live amongst the like that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Ooh, didn't like that. And all told, that's you guys have brought back to camp 11 rations. So that's some good solid meat that you've brought home. However, at dusk, Ozana is missing. She has not returned. And the sun's not gone down yet, but it is getting dark, getting towards dark.
Before the dusk time happens.
Yeah, like during the
can
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I suppose that's how they say that.
Sorry, I should have
and,
jumped back to you at like midday, but yeah.
I wanted to pray, and I wanted to try to befriend these.
Yes, commune with the cows.
These cows.
I'd like to pray as well.
Okay. Sophia, go ahead. Are you deploying wisdom or charisma?
For praying?
Yeah.
Charisma.
Okay, and you get +1 because you have your belt buckle, your holy symbol.
Okay.
Plus whatever your charisma modifier is.
All right, so that's +2 total. It's a 9 + 2.
Sweet.
So,
your favor is restored to maximum. And can
let's
you
see.
briefly what does it look like when you pray?
I think that I am. It's kind of just like meditation, more interior focused, picturing the spiral and.
So like sitting, and do you think you'd be inside the cave or out on the kind of little patio area in front of the cave entrance there?
I think on the patio.
Okay.
I'm like breathing in, I am a spiral. Breathing out, I am the murky waters.
Oh, nice. Great. Okay. Excellent. Tia, what about you? What does it look like when you do your thing?
Yeah, out where I could find some sort of dirt or plants or something.
So down by the river, maybe? It's only like, the river's only from where you are, it's only like 50 yards down the hillside.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'd like make some mud and draw a big spiral, sit in the middle of it, make sure my hands and feet are in it.
Okay. So I'm going to say because of that, because you had not actually been at death's door earlier, the black stuff didn't cut all the way down to your bone, but you do have pits. You do have like these pitted marks in your face now, which are permanent. Okay.
So how does healing work? Like I have a healer's kit.
Yeah.
And then also lay on hands. Would that, if I did one of those, would that?
You could certainly treat yourself with the healer's kit today, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, do you happen to have written down how much it heals?
1d6.
1d6?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And I think it's slow, which just means you can't use it like in the middle of combat, right? You got to take the time to do
Oh
it.
yeah.
And you got a whole day kicking around camp, so you can totally use the healer's kit. How many uses does it have?
2.
Yeah. So so before or after you pray, you can totally, tend your wounds and just go ahead and roll a d6 to see how much you heal up.
That's a 1. Okay.
You do have 2 uses, so you could use up the rest of it.
Would that be enough to, like, I don't know, make sure my face doesn't get infected or something? Like,
The 1? Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
I mean, I would say you probably know. Maybe there's like, maybe you can tell. The deeper mud maybe has some. Is not. You can like rub that in the stuff. You totally know how to
Okay.
do that.
Does sleeping restores hit points as well, right?
Yes, not a
Okay.
whole lot. The main way to get by hit points is to sleep in town.
Okay.
Camping, it comes back pretty slowly.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so if you wanted to, you could use that second use or just.
I'm gonna hold on to it
Okay.
in case.
And then go ahead and roll to pray, which are you using wisdom or charisma?
Wisdom.
Okay.
That's 8 plus 1.
For your wisdom?
Well, my wisdom is plus 1.
Right, and then
And
you
I
have your
rolled an
holy,
8.
and then your holy symbol is your tattoos, right?
Oh, okay. So 10.
10, there we go. You're back to max, so your favor is fully returned.
Awesome.
And then, Saphira, how are you gonna hang out with these cat? How are you gonna commune with these bovine creatures?
I think that at my my place of worship, we kept like little goats and stuff. So I have some history hanging out with animals, and I'm just gonna like pick some grass and sort of like hand feed it to the cows, see if they, or whatever they are. The cowelephants.
Elephants, there we go. Okay, so I think in order to, before you can get to keep company, it's just like negotiating to become friends with them.
Okay.
You're not intimidating them or trying to appeal to their sense of reason. So you're definitely using charisma to try to get through to these creatures. So go ahead and roll charisma.
It's an 8.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you get the impression that are you trying this with the same one that Amu, kind of the initial one that Amu befriended, or a different animal, or like several animals?
Well, there's like 3. Are there 3 of them that are hanging out closer to us?
Yeah, there's the 3 that are definitely like not shy about being near you guys. They got into your stuff, and then down the hillside there's like a dozen more ambling about.
I think I'm starting with the ones nearby. I don't want to stray too far with everybody gone.
Okay. And trying just like maybe with all 3 of them, trying to get their interest.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if I get some grass and stuff and they all come over, then I'm, just kind of sharing the love. But I'll start one at a time.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess with the one that seemed most friendly. So I guess
Yeah.
The one that was
So they're
friendly.
taller than you. So you just picture these big, and they have their bones are showing through their hides as they kind of like make their way along the ground. They all come over and kind of like sniff you out, and with their trunks, and test out the grass. And then one of them kind of like one of the trunks kind of reaches. Just for the sake of this, I'm just gonna say that in your shoulder bag or whatever. Do you have like a pouch or something on your belt?
I have a pouch with a lichen.
Okay, yeah. So one of them like is feeling around and trying to get in your pouch, and you're like, kind of gently moving the trunk away. And then the other one, when you do that, another one of them reaches over and tries to get into your pouch. And so I think that since you rolled like a 7 to 9, they're going to want to sample whatever is in your pouch in order to become friends with you, and then maybe they'll really be friends with you.
Okay. I just
I
don't
did
want to
not
have
expect this
trips
turn of
at
it.
these caliphants. I guess, I only have one dose left, so if I split it up between them, they're not going to go crazy.
And they're big animals. Who knows?
That's true.
Oh boy. Okay, so you're gonna take out the.
I'm all about transformation if they want it. Let's go.
Great. So you pull out the clump or whatever and break it up into pieces and kind of hold it out as a sacrament, shall we say?
Yeah.
And they sniff it and take it and then put it into their mouth. Let's roll luck to see how this affects these guys. Because it's like a total crapshoot.
That's an 8.
Okay. All right. So when Amu and Claudio come home, bearing their prizes, and kind of come marching up the hillside, up the switchback path towards the entrance of the cave, they see one of the cows is like leaning in this really weird way against a tree, and kind of stamping its right rear foot. One of the other ones is completely on its back, kind of rocking back and forth on the ground. And the third one, Amu,
fast metabolisms.
Yeah. Well, this is sometime after you gave him the stuff. Actually, it didn't happen right after. And Amu, the one that your best friend, is kind of like standing there, sort of staring at you as you kind of climb up the hillside. And as you climb, it kind of like raises its head in a rhythmic way, and its two trunks kind of do this weird kind of repetitive pattern, almost like in recognition of you. I guess it feels like almost like it's saying hi. It's hailing you as you come up the hillside.
Oh, what has happened here? Oh, Valuisa. What are they doing? Vera.
They wanted to try my holy sacrament, so I gave them a little.
And I come up to the cow that was doing this thing with its trunks, and I come and just kind of put my hand out to them, and I say that I found a particularly nice looking handful of grass and brought it back as a present.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. I'll feed it to her.
Okay. Yeah. So she sort of grabs it and kind of like, fondles the top of your head with her other trunk, and then sort of, like happily munches this bunch of fresh grass. Yeah, and everybody has noticed that Ozana has not returned.
Did anyone see which way she went?
I saw. She went that way, says Evaristo, and points off. So from the cave mouth, looking out and down towards the river and the waterfall, you guys, when you went hunting, you went off to the right, towards the away from the waterfall, kind of up the riverside, and that's where you found your hunting grounds. And Ozana went off to the left along the kind of mountainside, I guess. So towards more rocky terrain.
Shall we track her and see if we can see if she's okay?
Yes, I think so. Have to find out.
Ooh, Claudio?
Yes, I think we should try to follow.
So you want to try to so would the plan be go try to find her, but try to get back before nightfall, or are you going to not worry about that and just well, I guess we could just see what you find before nightfall. That's one thing.
Right. Well, we wouldn't want to search in the dark too much.
Okay. Okay. So, anybody else going to go along, or is it just going to be Amu and
I'll go.
Oh, Tio wants to go.
Actually, yeah, I would like to go because she's my friendo.
Oh, your pal, right? Okay, so full search party. All right, 4-person search party headed off along the mountainside. So Evaristo and Bras will hang back, and
I would like to invoke Caracol because I think that Ozana is interested in Caracol.
okay, like potential
Yeah.
leader kind of thing.
Yeah, I want to be like, hey, Caracol, I think it's worth it for you if you help us find this lost soul.
Okay, and you're invoking to look for guidance. Is that?
Yeah.
And is it a close your eyes, silent prayer, and then look for signs kind of thing?
I think it's like a spin around until I'm really dizzy and wait for Caracol to like point me in the right direction.
Spinning around. All right. Great. I'm going to say that's... So you're in rocky terrain. You're not anywhere near Caracol's turf. I like the idea that you're appealing to... yeah, you have this potential convert, essentially. I'm going to say it's hubris 2. So that would be a -2 to your roll, +1 if you bear your holy symbol. So it's -1 to your roll. And then you could spend favor if you want to increase that.
I'll spend 1.
Okay.
So +0. Can Tio help me with this, or is this?
If you ask for Tio's help and he agrees to do so.
No, you know what? Actually, I think I'm still kind of feeling like I want to do a cool Caracol thing.
Tio did
I'm
like navigate you guys through that labyrinth and then drink from the fountain and remain unharmed. So yeah, let's see if you can.
Yeah.
Let's see what the city folk can do.
So yeah, so I'm like, well, I could ask. No, it's okay. 11.
Oh, all right, great. Okay, so you spin around. The world's all dizzy for a minute, and then you sort of head off along the mountainside ahead of everybody else, as everything's kind of wobbly, and there are areas in the landscape, the rocky ground that you're covering, that appear to kind of like just part a little bit visually for you. They just appear to like, and then a little further on, you see 2 rocks appear to kind of move aside, indicating like which way you should go. So Saphira heads off slightly wobbly along the mountainside there. Is everybody willing to follow Saphira's lead? Yeah. Okay. So the sun has dropped down on the far side of the river valley, past the mountain of the other brother, the other brother mountain. So the sky is like a kind of a gray cobalt color, and you can still see fairly well to get along the mountainside. And after about, following Saphira's lead, after about, well, actually, I think to do this, you guys are going to have to make one set out move, because your journey is from where you are to where Saphira lies. And you're following Caracol's guidance here. So Saphira, since you're the leader, roll 2d6 straight up.
9.
9. Okay. And then Saphira, please roll 1d12.
4.
Okay. Who's in the back of this single file climbing? Our usual overland marching order is Saphira in the back with Saphira's in the lead. So Amu, Claudio, or Tio, who's picking up the rear here?
I can take the
Okay, so Claudio's in the back. Claudio, you hear like a sound behind you, and you turn back and you see that all 3 of the cattle that ate the lichen are following you guys. And they seem to have a perfectly fine way picking their way along the mountainside, because this is like their home turf, but all 3 of them are following you. Do you guys want to do anything about that, or just let them follow? Let them follow. Status quo. Okay. All right, and then after about half an hour, so it's getting darker, you hear the sound of rushing water, and looking up the mountainside, you see a kind of spillway where snow melt has created a kind of stream that spills down the hillside. And up ahead of you, Saphira is walking right towards a ravine that this water, has spent, thousands of years cutting into the rock to create. So there's a ravine directly ahead of you, and between Tio and Amu, who's right behind Saphira? Who's second in line? Tio?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be. I just thought you might have. Okay, but you're.
Yeah.
Okay. Saphira is pretty kind of and you can tell she's in a trance. She's clearly following some kind of sort of message, and you can tell that she's just gonna kind of proceed. Looks like she's just kind of moving ahead as if she's gonna just step into this ravine, like right off the edge of this precipice, unless you do something.
I guess I'll call out.
Okay.
And say, Saphira, wait.
And Saphira, when you're in this kind of trance and somebody tries to interrupt you like that, does it break you out of the trance?
I think I'm. Well, what am I feeling like? Am I just drawn towards this direction, or am I like is it the path spreading and I'm like going to it, but I'm not necessarily like being pulled?
It seems to be a step-by-step thing. You keep looking for the next sign and going towards that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think if I don't see an immediate sign of danger, just kind of keep going.
Sure.
I'm not walking at like a crazy fast pace or anything.
Okay. Okay, so Tio, she doesn't really respond.
If she's like about to step over like a cliff,
Yeah.
I would try and like maybe reach up and grab her belt,
Okay.
like at the last second, like
Yeah.
she's clearly about to go over.
Right. So, and that's totally what it looks like to you.
Okay,
And
yeah.
but Saphira, of course, to you were just about to very slowly climb down the side of this rock face because you carry the blessing of Caracol that allows you to do that. So Tia reaches out and grabs you and stops you and breaks you out of your trance for a moment. Well, no, breaks you out of your trance, and you're on the edge of this. These rocks kind of drop away. There's vegetation here and there growing out of the cracks in the stone, and this mountain stream kind of pours down through the bottom of the ravine. And so you break out of your trance and you look down at the water, and to your right, it's about 20 feet from where you are to where the water is. You see Ozana's leg sticking out from behind there's like a clump of scrubby trees down there, and you see Ozana's leg sticking out and kind of dragging in the water downstream a little bit.
So I'm gonna just I'm gonna point, or I'm gonna start climbing down. I'm gonna turn around, and if it seems like I can, I'm gonna start climbing down and just say, verbally tell Tia that Ozana is down here.
Okay, but you're climbing down.
Yeah, if it seems like something I'm capable of.
Yeah. I mean, you slowly kind of like make your way down. Everybody else gets to the edge of the ravine, and you guys all look down, and you see Saphira is now right at the edge of the stream and moving downstream towards what looks like where Ozana appears to be lying.
What's our rope situation? Was that Amu used it for something with the? Oh no, it didn't work out.
I gave it back.
Right. Okay.
And it's in two different pieces, right?
Well, we had a frayed bit that we just kind of chopped off, so it's just that I think it's like 40 feet.
Okay.
50, it's 35 feet.
Okay. Yeah, so you make your way down the side of the stream, and Ozana is unconscious. So she's sort of lying splayed with her head against the side of the ravine. There's blood on the rock behind her head, but you can tell that she's breathing. And she's right at the edge of the water. Like if she'd fallen any further, she would have gone into the stream and maybe got washed down the hillside. But her leg is kind of dragging in the water there.
All right. Can I lay on hands?
Oh yeah, totally.
Okay.
So would burn a Constitution.
Okay. Oof.
Constitution
is very low right now.
What is it?
I am at 5, so I have a -2 now.
Ooh, wow. It's hard being out in the wilderness.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'll roll plus charisma.
And then before you roll, do you want to spend any favor?
I can't spend favor because they heal hit points and or abilities equal to double your current favor.
Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. Yep.
And I only have 1 right now.
Okay.
Because our it didn't go up when we leveled up, right?
Favor does go up by 1 point each time you level. Yeah.
Oh, really? Wait.
Yeah. Your
so
favor is your current level plus your charisma modifier. Or your wisdom.
Oh. Okay, so I'm level 2 now, so it should be 3 max. Which means I have 2 right now.
Right.
Okay, so I'll roll plus charisma. So 8 plus 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And your current favor is 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's see. I'm not sure how badly Ozana was injured, actually. We roll 1d6.
I rolled a 6.
Ooh, wow, that was a big crack to the head. Didn't kill her, though. Okay. 1, 3, and you just hit her for 2. Okay. And what does it look like when you lay hands on someone, when you perform this kind of ritual of healing?
I think since I'm like rolling charisma, and it's kind of like a guided meditation thing. It's like all right, you're coming back to me.
Oh, great.
You feel the sinews on your head closing. You feel the blood slowing, and
And are you saying these things out loud, or are you sort of thinking them?
Yeah. No, I'm
okay,
saying
okay.
I'm touching her, but I'm also saying these things.
Great, I love it. Okay. Yeah, and then so she kind of like gradually, slowly opens her eyes.
And I'm also like, you are in Caracol's care.
Oh, just slipping a little of that in there. What happened? What? Oh, and she looks around, and reaches up and feels the back of her head. Curse these mountains.
Do you remember how you got here?
I went hunting. I was climbing. I was trying to climb down into this stream bed, and I slipped. Thank you for finding me.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you are alive. Can you climb?
I will. She's generally pretty sure of herself, so she kind of, painfully gets to her feet, splashes some of the cold water on her face, turns around and looks up and, says, like, if we find an easier spot, I can climb. So you guys can do that without any problem. You can go further upstream towards where you were, and you can help her climb out. And then you can.
Oh, just
yeah.
Do I get any, since we both have bonds? Do I get any bonus for any of that, for the lay on hands or anything from that? Or is that something that's more like?
That's when you want to help somebody with a roll.
Okay.
So, like, if Ozana had been conscious, she could have done that.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Right.
But I'm willing to say that this moment of exchange between you guys, as she's kind of recovering and you're kind of talking to her gently and helping her get back on her feet, because bonds are kind of the core of Keep Company, and this is a pretty meaningful moment, I would say. I'll let you roll to Keep Company right now based on the fact that you have a bond with her. So in that case, you roll 2d6 and you add 1, which is the bond that you already have with Ozana.
Okay. Can't Keep Company backfire too? Do I necessarily want to roll that?
Let's see. Yeah, things could go poorly.
Yeah, I'm just gonna skip it.
Okay. You can
get out of here. Just get out of here before I fail any more rolls.
Okay, great. So you guys holler back up and make your way back to the cave, and you get back there. It's dark by the time you get back, but it's not hard to find the place given the way that you came. Which means it's time to bed down for the night. To make camp. The cows, the whole time that you were down there, the cows were like on the edge of the ravine, just kind of looking down, watching what you were up to. And then they follow you back to the cave. And Amu, you get the impression, you're not sure actually whether they're following you or Saphira. It's unclear, like, you know, they're being just as friendly to you as they were before, but it's unclear exactly who they're following. And you guys get back to camp. So everybody eats food. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, plus Evaristo, Ozana, and Bras. That's 7 rations out of 15, I think, is what you have now.
Yeah.
Is that right? So that takes you down to 8.
This is maybe kind of gruesome, but is there any, like you said, we got 11 rations. Would there be a way to harvest anything else from the animals that were brought back?
Like anything else in terms of like extracting? Oh, interesting. Like something else that might be useful?
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, seems like a pelt or something like that at the least.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
maybe another bone for a throwing knife.
Yeah, for sure. We can let's figure that out. Yeah, so to do that, so it's these little, you know, it's half a dozen of these little, you know, 9-inch long little varmints. So those guys are, okay, why don't you roll 1d3, so just roll a d6 and divide by 2.
So a 2. And if Amu or Claudio want to do this, since they were the ones
Because
that
they caught the animals, sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys have any? Claudio, why don't you roll for the big animal? JP, we'll keep that roll for the little guys.
Okay, yeah.
And you rolled a 2 or the?
I rolled a 4.
You rolled a 4. Okay.
Yeah.
2. Okay. There's you find nothing useful in this. Like you look through their organs, you know, you like. You skin them very carefully and you know pry them open and you're smelling stuff and you've totally got the skills for this. You're like Mr. Outdoors, you know maybe that liver could be and you're like, oh no way, I don't know what that thing was eating, but bad news. So they're only good for food. Claudio, will you roll a d6 for the big animal?
Yes. Five. No modifier, right?
No modifier. This is just purely to see. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, now roll a d12 for me, Claudio.
Okay. 2.
Okay, and then another d12.
4.
4?
Yes.
Okay. Tio, the hide of the horned creature is really soft and like yeah, it's like really, especially the part on its like right here under its neck is this super, you know, like Angora kind of fluffy soft thing. So in your estimation, it's quite a beautiful pelt that could bring, and you could also turn it into leather armor if you wanted to. It'd be useful for that, and it could bring, you know, bring some coin back in town. And you totally have the skills to properly skin that thing, as long as you have a sharp knife. You still got one more throwing knife?
I just had one. I just had throwing knife written down. I don't know. Do they come?
No, it was just one. But somebody has a sharp knife. You guys, everybody's.
I'll lend you my knife. Here you go.
Well, I'll leave the pelt for somebody else. To anybody who
wants to take it.
can take it. Yep.
Yeah. So if anybody wants that pelt, it's got weight 1. So if anybody wants to tie that onto their rucksack or whatever.
I'd like to take it, but I don't have a rucksack.
You can make a pouch
Oh, yeah.
out of it.
Can I turn it into a little bit of a sack or something?
Yeah. You mean like a, yeah. Oh, I didn't even think about that. Like turn it into a makeshift, like a bag. Yeah. It's definitely big enough for that. You can make a thing that goes over your shoulder, or you could use the existing parts of your backpack to even fashion a kind of replacement backpack out of it if you wanted to.
This will just go over the shoulder.
Yeah, that's probably the easiest. I mean, you can use some tendons to like tie it up, and yeah. So basically a big kind of bag sack that you can carry over your shoulder. Great. So you spend the evening time. Takes a little bit of time to clean the hide properly, and then I think you're gonna have to dry it maybe before you. Well, yeah. So maybe overnight it might be dry enough to use in the morning, and especially if you can just put it by the fire and it'll probably be ready. Okay, so everybody's eating food. Does anybody want to keep company with any other person?
I wouldn't mind trying to make amends with Saphira. Hey, that was really cool what you did earlier, spinning around. I've never thought of trying that. And then we walked straight there, and you healed her, and it was amazing.
Well, it was just another. It was just like what you did. But yours was cooler because we were in a labyrinth.
His was cooler because what?
Because we were in a labyrinth or a maze or whatever.
I don't know. It's inside. There's only a few ways to go. Out here, you can go in any direction. So, I'd say yours was more impressive.
Let's see how this roll goes before I.
Well, actually, if he's just making amends, that's just totally up to you.
Oh, does it just?
That's totally up to you.
I see. Yeah. No, I think that I feel my insecurity has been assuaged, and his vocalization
Great.
is helping.
Okay, great, awesome. Okay, so time to pass the night. Amu, why don't you roll 2d6 plus the safety of the region. The region is dangerous with its +0, so just roll 2d6. We'll see what happens. See how the night goes.
It's just dangerous, not perilous.
That's right. It's not. You're not in a perilous area.
Okay. I rolled 11.
Okay. The night passes without incident, and everybody gets restful sleep.
Phew.
So that means in the morning, if you ate and drank the night before, you heal 1 plus your Constitution modifier. Minimum of 1. So if you have a negative Constitution modifier, you still get the 1. And you can apply that to ability points or hit points, or some combination thereof.
How messed up is Tio looking?
Yeah, Tio, how are you doing now?
I'm 6 out of 9.
Oh yeah.
So not bad.
Yeah, he's showing it. And the big thing now, what was the other source of damage besides the explosion? That was it. Okay. Yeah. So he's got that. He wears that visibly. He's gonna have these. He actually did a really good job with the river mud and this kind of and the healer's kit that he had. So some of that stuff might heal up, but there's definitely going to be some permanent markings on his face from that.
Yeah. I realized that Tio doesn't have any weapons. It's, they're all broken. So I'm gonna offer my my hatchet and say, you might want to carry this for a while. You never know what we might find.
Do you still have a weapon, or is that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I've
you
got
do.
a spear and my knife.
I will graciously accept your hatchet, and that should make amends for whatever, I forget, whatever you had to make amends for.
Oh yeah. I have to make amends to everybody.
Oh, wait, because of that song. What was it? That song that you was it?
I know it was not the song. It was for talking too much about dwarven history.
Okay, great. So you hand over. Is there anything notable as we see the axe pass from the hatchet pass from one hand to another? Is this just like a kind of well, it's a dwarven hatchet, right? It comes from
Yeah.
So is it what
Yeah.
is it? What distinguishes it as a dwarven hatchet?
Let's see. I don't know. It's got a nice curve. Here's a little drawing. She's wearing it in her waist belt.
Yeah, hold it still for a second.
It's got a little curve that comes down, like I was thinking of, like the Viking ones. And this is a little leather thing so that you don't cut yourself while you're wearing it.
Oh, it's got like
leather guard.
a little cover, a little guard on it. Sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And here she is fighting with the invisible creatures.
Oh man, it's very grainy video.
Can everyone see Jan? Because I cannot. I haven't been able to see Jan this whole time.
It's very it's super pixelated, so it's pretty hard to see. You're gonna have to scan that and send it to me. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I handed it over to Tio, and I'm like, I just paused for a moment, remembering how he smashed his hammer against the floor. I'm like, be careful with this.
As I shove it in my belt, just like you wear it, I say, I won't let this one break, I promise.
Okay, great.
Can I use one of my bandages on my own head from where the antelope jumped on me?
Yeah. You may. I forget how the bandage works though. What does it say in the?
I think it just says slow and 3 uses. Slow, heal 1.
Heal 1. Okay.
3 uses.
Yeah. So you can heal up.
How are you doing, Claudio? I don't know. Is Claudio all bashed up too?
I'm doing okay. I think my shoulder is not too damaged. It's just achy. I think so. My total is 13, but my current HP is 9.
I come over and offer some bandages to you to wrap up where you got spiked by that rock.
Yeah, I'm actually still suffering from that. It was a stingray. It was some kind of piercing. So I'll wrap it around that area too.
All right. That's 1 HP, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, it's 1 HP.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so the new day, I believe this is day 8 of your expedition. The new day dawns. again, the valley's misty, but the sky is not overcast. It's a pale blue sky as the light breaks on the eastern horizon, which again, you can actually see the horizon from your perch up here as you look out over the landscape far below. So what's the plan at this point? Were you guys going to venture back in and explore the rest of the cavern, or head back with your bright crystals and crazy cows? Or perhaps some third path?
Well,
I
I'm
would
open
go
to
back
going
in,
back
but-
in. Go ahead.
Sorry,
Emma.
Sophie, what were you saying?
I'm open to going back in just because we're here, but I'm not like married to it.
Okay. And Amu, you're in favor of going back
Yeah.
in?
There's also the well that we could look into besides the cavern.
Oh, that one sort of shaft that went down? Yeah.
Yeah. Claudio? Tio?
I'll follow you.
I'd like to explore the cavern more.
Okay.
See if there's any more of these bugs we can kill carefully.
Okay, so it sounds like people are in favor of returning to the cavern.
Can I peer down into the well again just to see if there's anything that I can see there?
Sure, you can. It's not that far away at all. It's just from where you guys have been camping. It's a short distance, so you return to that room. Oh, at this point, I'm going to say, given the exploration of the cavern last night, I guess you didn't use the torch while you guys were out. So will you mark another duration off your torch? Whoever is that, Amu?
Yeah. So I've got one torch left,
Oh, okay.
one full torch. But that's it.
So you're down to your last. Well, let's say Ozana had. Ozana's got a couple, so you'll have some more if you need them. Okay, so you return to the room where and this is actually the trap room. In the middle of the trap room, there's a roughly square. But when you look into it, it's actually not cut rock. It was like some kind of natural chimney that the dwarves either chose to build on top of, or who knows why. But there's a natural chimney descending into the ground, and about 20 feet below, you deduced last time using the torch, is the floor of some other cave down there. So that's what you see. That's what you see from where you are in the trapped room.
What do we say? Down? You wanted to go back to the big cavern, Tio?
I'm curious. Why don't you lower me down there and I'll take a look?
Okay. May I borrow your rope again? Safira?
Oh yeah. Have at it.
Can we lower Tio down?
Yeah, no problem. You brace yourself. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to answer for Saphira. I thought you were asking a question. But Saphira's okay with that.
I think maybe he was asking you at that point.
Oh, okay. So you brace yourself. Claudio helps hold the rope, and Tio, with his big bare feet, rappels down the inside of this shaft, and then is cautiously lowered once the room opens up below. It's Tio, you drop down, and you're about 5 feet above the ground, still hanging from the rope and looking around, and you see that it's like a kind of a broken natural space, and a number of different, maybe like 5 different tunnels kind of curve off in different directions. It's not necessarily an intersection. You just happen to be in a spot where there's 5 different ways to go. Some of them get quite, small to the point where you'd only be able to crawl through them. You can tell from where you are. 1 or 2 of them look like you could kind of kind of squeeze through without having to get right down on the ground. But they're natural kind of cracks and openings in the rocks that you could that go off in different directions.
Okay, I'll just relay that information, everyone. Do you want me to keep looking?
Just a question: is it bright enough to see down there, or is it need a torch?
He's gonna need, if he's gonna explore further, he's gonna need a torch. Yeah.
I suggest maybe we could use Evaristo's staff and tie it around. Oh, how big is the opening? Is it like something you could stick a piece of wood over?
Yes. Yes.
And tie his staff and then lower it down in case we need to climb back up again?
Oh, use the staff as an anchor for the rope?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work. Sure. So are you proposing that everybody descend?
Well, now I'm thinking, I don't know if everyone's going to be able to climb down 20 feet of rope and back up again.
Well, I think Evaristo, Bras, and Ozana are all going to hang out at the base camp.
Okay.
They're not going to, given, Ozana's recovering from like a head blow, and yeah. So it's the 4 of you guys. So if the 4 of you want to go down there, that's doable.
Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. So one by one, you borrow. Of course, Evaristo is very willing to lend you his staff. You tie the rope around it, and then one by one, you guys descend, and you find yourself in this space. Now, for the human size among you, so for Claudio and Saphira, there's only 2 possible ways to go. They kind of both go in the same general direction, but the dwarf and the halfling could maybe fit into some of these smaller, more crawl space-like tunnels.
Is this like a natural cave or dug out, or what?
It's natural. Yeah.
It's natural.
Yeah, and that the chimney you came down was also natural, and you can see just from the shape of it and stuff that they're just what it was occurred, like the hollows that already existed inside this mountain. There's a number of different ways caves can be created. You're not an expert on that, but it definitely was not carved by dwarves. Okay. Nor did it appear to have been burrowed by a creature. It's they appear to be just like natural kind of spaces in the rock that you would be exploring. So after poking in the tunnels a little bit with a torch and figuring out maybe which way you might want to go, and maybe Tio takes a couple of steps in and examines what's ahead, it looks like you would once again be venturing into a kind of interconnected network of tunnels that you would have to find your way through. So if you continue forward, the risk is confusion and getting lost amongst these tunnels. They're not filled with the kind of dust that filled the labyrinth up above. It'd be harder to find your way back easily unless precautions were being taken.
And we only have 3 torches.
You got 3 torches in the group. Yep.
So it seems like we might need to make a decision on if this is where we want to explore or if we want to go back to the big cave.
We would need to leave something to mark our way. Some marks, some chalk, some grass, something to tell that we've been there. But this looks just like the place where we might find some more crystal.
Could we like?
Unless, I mean, it seems like the crystal might actually come from our cow friends.
I never thought of that.
I mean, there might be something else fun down here, but
Huh. No crystals in the caves, huh? Cows make the crystals. Cows make the crystals.
yeah, I mean,
My
as
whole
far
life,
as
I never
crystals
thought
go,
of
I think
that.
if we bring those cows back and you keep breeding cows, when they die of old age, you can harvest their crystals. You have a whole
Of
crystal
course.
farm.
Since I was a child, I always imagined a cave with crystals growing out of it. There must be a cave.
Well, we
There
found a
must be.
cave and it had crystals in it. It's just they were not of cavely origin.
Let's just look, just around the corner.
So, okay. So I'm always encouraging further exploration of these tunnels. Is there any resistance? Okay. So who's taking the lead?
Can I shout up to Evaristo?
Yeah.
And I say, Evaristo, we need something to mark the way. Do you have anything? Some grass, some flowers, anything?
Let me check his.
Could we make a trail of the small crystals we all have? They give off a little bit of light, so
Oh, wow. Well, actually, if you guys want, Ozana can use up one of her uses of adventuring gear and produce some chalk for you. If you would prefer that over the small crystals. Is that cool? Okay. So you haul her up, and then like a chunk of, a chunk of white chalk this big hits the ground and breaks into two pieces.
Thanks. I'll take a piece.
Okay.
And hand out the piece to whoever wants to take it.
And who's going to take the lead? Any takers? Yeah, Tia? Did I see this?
no.
No?
No, I think Amu should.
I'll go.
Okay. Okay. So how would you say you're going to try to negotiate? Without, you don't have to go into details. I'm just generally speaking, do you think you're trying to use logic and spatial reasoning or your instincts to find your way through these tunnels?
Let's go with instincts.
Okay.
Trust the dwarven instincts.
Okay. Roll wisdom.
And I get a +1 for being underground.
This isn't really perceive. This isn't technically the perceive move. This is to find your way through.
Oh,
okay. So it's a little different.
Okay. All right. I rolled a 6 -1.
-1? Oh, yeah. Okay. You get to mark wisdom and mark a duration on the torch. And you end up in a dead end and find your way back to a place where there's another tunnel branching off, and you can either continue exploring in that direction or head back.
Can we give it one more try? I kind of look around at everybody. Is everyone looking disgruntled?
Maybe you should spin around a few times.
Oh, yeah. This is good luck, right?
Oh,
Good luck, Sophia. The spinning. And then I'm going to rub my...
It is an
I'm gonna read-
invocation of Caracol. It is not a bad luck.
Caracol does not bring luck? Why do you follow Caracol?
Caracol brings wisdom and clarity
Oh, yeah.
and transformation. Not luck.
Oh, that's good, too. I'm going to reach in my pocket and rub my lucky rabbit's foot. Going to spin around 3 times. And then go forwards.
okay. Then roll luck.
I rolled boxcars.
Really? That's awesome. Okay. So you make your way down this passage and wobble forward, and then you take a right, and you get down on your hands and knees, and you crawl through a crawl space that everybody else has to follow you through. Sorry, I'm just looking up at my notes here about the layout of the cavern. Okay. And the rest of you guys are starting to have doubts. Mark another duration on that torch. And a couple of then after a couple different turns made impulsively, it narrows down to one tunnel that you follow for a ways, and Amu's convinced that it's going to go somewhere because it's narrowed down to just this one tunnel. It's no longer this kind of maze of tunnels, and it winds this way and that way, and then it closes down to about a foot high and opens up into space. And Amu, you're in front, and you drop down and you crawl forward and you stick your head, cautiously through this hole, and you realize you're putting your head into some kind of enormous echoey space. And then ahead of you in the darkness, you see that familiar shaft of light coming down from, and you realize that you found your way back to the massive cavern by a different route.
Well, we found something, but I guess this is what Caracol has told us to go to. So here we are. And I point to the shaft of light, and there's pillars around it.
From your perspective now, you appear to be lower than when you guys were up on the walkway. And for where the light, from your angle, you're basically at the very bottom, lowest level of the cavern. So that crater that you saw, you can just see the lip of it, right? You can't see any of the interior because you're basically standing on the same level. And between that, which is illuminated by this shaft of light, you see a number of evenly spaced, silhouetted shapes that look like pillars. Yeah, in that direction.
Well, the big cave after all. Shall we? So we proceed forwards.
Okay. Tio, so you guys all kind of climb out of this, brush the rock dust off you and climb out of this opening. Who's got the torch?
I'm carrying a torch. And
Up ahead.
Yeah. Who else? Who's got the other 2 torches? Do you have it, Claudio?
They were Ozana's torches. We can say Claudio brought them, or we'll say maybe Claudio has one and Safira has one. Let's say of Ozana's torches. And Tio, you're a little back from the brightness of the torchlight, but when you look down under your feet, you realize you're walking across that pattern, the pattern that the creature etched into the stone. So you know, the light kind of catches on the very tiny little edges of the thing, and so you look down and you notice that, and then you're sort of glancing left and right to wondering how far it extends. And off to the right, maybe 20 yards away, you see a faint, very faint, it's pitch black everywhere that the only light in here is the torch and that shaft of sunlight. But off to the right, about 20 yards away, when you turn your face away from the light of the torch, you see a faint kind of rectangular, very, very faint light in a kind of rectangular shape off in that direction. And by the way, everybody, Tio sees that because Tio's got the highest wisdom, so he'll tend to notice things before the people.
A rectangular light?
Yeah. It's maybe wider than it is tall. And from the pace you're moving and your estimate of distance, you're going to guess it's probably a rectangle of light about, I'm going to say, a foot by 2 feet.
I'm going to say, wait, do you hear that? And see what the others say.
No.
There's light over there. And
You can hear light?
You can't hear light? And I'll point over to the rectangle.
I think I hang back with the torch a little bit so that I kind of like hide it behind my body so I can get a better look at the rectangle.
Okay, yeah. So you see it too, and Tio, now that you've stopped moving and your estimate was a little bit off, now it looks more like it's about 2 feet high by 4 feet wide. Maybe your eyes were playing tricks on you, or maybe you just needed to have them, needed to readjust. But it now seems sort of a little bigger than you thought it was before. And yeah, everybody sees it.
Hatchet in hand, I'll start moving over towards it.
Okay. Is everybody else gonna follow behind? Nods. Okay. So Tio, you approach it, and your second estimate seems to is sustained. It appears to be roughly 2 by 4 inches. 2 feet by 4 feet. And as you get closer, and the light of the torch helps illuminate the area, there is in the natural. You're approaching actually the first time you've actually seen the wall of this massive cavern, kind of curving away and up over your head, and cut into the wall where it meets the floor is a rectangular opening, and out of this opening is emanating a very faint light that's reminiscent of the light that the bright crystals give off. And when you get close and you kind of crouch down and look inside, it appears to be a crawl space cut, and it's definitely cut by dwarves. You know that now. And the main way you can tell is that, instead of just a straight rectangle at the corners, there's always, in the dwarven construction, there's always like a little bevel, right? There's always like a little angle right there at the corner. And it leads back, when you're peering down, this faint light illuminates probably 30 feet of past this tunnel, this crawl space, and then it opens up into some kind of larger space past that point.
I'm crawling.
You're crawling.
Let's go. Yep.
Tia's going in. Is everybody following? Okay, everybody?
This is it. This is what we came for.
Okay, so you reach the point where it opens up into a larger space, and you climb inside, and everybody's able to kind of get to that spot. And then in there, you can actually stand up, and you find yourself in a cut room, probably 20 feet wide by 40 feet long. So you're at the short edge of that rectangle. Broken rocks and rubble nearly fill the space. So parts of the ceiling have collapsed over the years, and there's just, there's big piles of rubble on either side of the room. And especially at the back, it's just like a big chunk of the ceiling has fallen out, and there's all kinds of broken rocks and stuff back there. And scattered amongst the rubble are the curled up husks of creatures that resemble the one that Tio killed. At first in the light, the glow is coming from what looks like a lichen that covers a lot of the rocks and the husks of these creatures. So they're kind of like, curled up the way, a dead pill bug would be curled up. And Tio, when you well, actually, I'm not going to presume any of your actions actually. But you can tell that they're either dead or they're definitely not moving. There's no movement in this chamber. So rubble, probably half a dozen of these kind of curled up dead creatures. They're, however, not they're not black like the one in the main cavern, although they're covered in this lichen, so maybe their color is hard to distinguish. Yeah, so that's what you guys see.
The lichen is on the walls also?
It's kind of patchy all over the room, and it's covering rocks and husks alike.
Be careful.
Yeah, I want to poke at one of the husks from a distance.
Yeah, with what?
With the hatchet.
So holding the hatchet, you're going to reach out and, with the flat end of the hatchet, kind of shove one of the husks.
Yeah.
So it rolls over. It's sort of, you push it, and when you do, you realize it's completely hollow. There's nothing inside. It's just the shell of the creature, and it kind of easily kind of rolls over and cracks because it's so fragile. Who knows how long it's been here? And when it does that, the lichen breaks, and a little puff of sparkly dust kind of goes, and then in the and it's illuminated. You guys have the torch in here too, right? So it's kind of brightly lit by the torchlight, and then it kind of settles back to the ground.
Let's get out of here. This looks like a tomb for bugs.
Does it look like you said that the ceiling's kind of caved in? Does it look like we can see the entire room, or it's cut off by this cave in?
The far end of it, it looks like you understand the rough outline of the room. Yeah, as a 20 by 40 foot rectangle, essentially. But the far end of the room is the most covered in rubble. 3/4 of it is just totally covered. And so if there were any other exits from this room, they would be, it could be on any wall. There's enough rubble there to conceal a way out. But yeah, it looks like you understand the extent of this room itself.
Okay. I'd like to cover my face up, maybe with my bastard rat pelt.
Okay.
Like, so if I disturb any of this lichen, I don't breathe it in, but I want to collect some.
You want to
For
collect some?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. What do you want to put it in?
I don't know if I have any. Well, I have a tinder box. Could I like empty out my tinder box?
Yeah, sure.
Give the contents to someone, and then
Yeah, would you say that box is made out of wood or bone, or what do you think you're? It's usually a pretty small little thing that you would just keep.
Yeah.
Little tinder and then flint and steel for striking sparks.
I have no idea what a tinder box is usually. Probably not wood.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
It could be like waxed linen or something like that.
Sure.
Like a stiff cloth.
Yeah.
It says, why are you touching that? Didn't I tell you to be careful?
But it glows.
What if it kills these bugs?
These are just the what's it called when something like molts?
Oh yeah, then molted its shell. Yeah, shed its shell, right?
Yeah. It's just the shell of the thing I already killed.
Okay, well,
the hatchet just gently like take some of the lichen off the rock.
Off of a rock, or someplace where it's easy to scrape off.
Yeah.
And you've sort of somehow, so you've secured the pelt around your mouth like this.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're gently trying to scrape it into your tinderbox. So roll dexterity.
9.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you do that. You have the tinderbox open. You gently scrape it onto the blade, and then you pick up the blade and just kind of shift it. And you manage to not disturb any of the. You don't cause any more of that sparkly dust to kind of go up. And you get a small quantity of it. I'd say you get about something the size of a quarter out of that. It's the best you can do.
Okay. Cool.
All right, you have that in your little box. And then evacuate. And you guys find yourself back in the big cavern. And then from there, we're going to approach the.
I just hold my torch out to cauterize the hatchet. I'm like, here.
Nice.
Just to burn anything off of that thing that might be stuck to the blade.
Great. Okay. And Tio, you're cool. Yeah. So okay, hold the torch out. There's a moment where the blade bathes the torch and turns the edge of it black. And then you guys find yourself back in the big cave. So I'll just describe, and time's about up. So I'll just describe the crater area before we break. You approach cautiously with your torch out, and mark another duration on that because your little detour there.
My torch is out. Can I light somebody else's torch as it's spluttering out?
So Claudio volunteers, and you take one of Azana's torches and light that. You guys reach this what looks like columns, and in your torchlight you can see, in fact, that there's a colonnade of some kind that rings in the far distance in the ambient light from the shaft of sun. You can see that these columns exist on the far side as well. Set into each column at about Amu's head height is sticking out from each. So they're square columns. In fact, they're square columns with the corners are beveled, right? So you can tell they're dwarf columns. And about head height, a little bit higher than that, Amu's head height. There is a stone piece sticking out on either side of each column, and there's a divot in each of these stone pieces, just like the divots that held the crystals in the temple. And what runs between the columns all the way around is a stone walkway, which, given your position now relative to where you saw the crater before, you assume is connected to the walkway you had been descending. So when you're standing on this walkway, it's elevated up to about the edge of the rim of the crater. So it's about the same height as that. When you were further away, you could see past it to the crater, but now you can tell it's kind of built up a little bit. So there's this this walkway rings the entire crater, and from your perspective in the light from the sun, you're estimating that the crater itself is about 300 yards across. So it's pretty big. And from where you are periodically, you count sort of spaced out along the walkway. Make sure if I get this right here. There are 7 altars facing inward towards the crater, kind of spaced out evenly all the way around it.
How many pillars?
Let's see, there's a total of, there's 28 sets of pillars.
They're like Stonehenge, they're put together?
There's 2, it's like the walkway and then a pillar on each side of the walkway. Pillars don't support anything, they're just kind of spaced out along the walkway. So as you walk along the walkway, you walk between these pairs of pillars.
There's 20?
There's 28 of them.
28. And the altars are kind of in a circle, or how are they?
Yeah, well, the walkway itself encircles the whole crater, and the altars are arranged evenly around on the walkway. So yeah, they encircle the crater. And the last thing I'll say is that, so you guys are all kind of taking this in, looking around, and Amu's making notes of like how many there are, and these must all have been created by his people, who knows how long ago. And Tio, on the rim of the crater, so from where you guys are, you can't see into the crater because you're roughly at the same level as it. On the rim of the crater, you see one of those little creatures. Lit up by the sunlight. And we'll call it there. Okay. Wrapping up. Did anybody have an opportunity to fill their alignment goal? Scrunch face. No, that's nobody. That's fine. Didn't happen. There weren't a lot of opportunities for that. Sometimes that's the way it is. Yeah.
Does killing that creature to what, you had a word for it.
Oh,
aberration.
Aberration.
Does that count as correcting an imbalance?
I would say if there is an imbalance, that doesn't correct it.
Right, yeah.
Another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. There's like maybe a larger imbalance if there is one there than one you could correct. Okay. Traits. Who fulfilled? Saphira, what traits did you fulfill? What was your new one, by the way?
Oh, my new one was envious.
Envious.
That was last time.
Oh yeah.
I think I fulfilled compassionate.
Yes.
I don't think the other ones came into play so much.
But there's you got a little bit of the envy in there though too. You
Sure, the residual envy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I didn't take the didn't ask for aid.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved little moment with Ozana down. That's great to have Caracol led you there, and then okay. Tia, what about you? Did you do any lying, like hearing light? Was that a lie?
Right? Does that count? That's all I could think of for lying this time.
Well, I guess my question is, and I was wondering this when you were saying it, were you lying to Saphira when you were trying to make amends? Because I kind of couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if you were like tongue
right. If I mean, I think I was being genuine because the same way that she is curious about the way I do things for Caracol,
right.
I'm curious, and I was impressed by the spinning and.
Okay.
Yes, I don't think that was a lie.
Okay, you don't think that was great?
No, it was genuine.
Okay, awesome. What's your other trait though, or do you have two?
Idealistic.
Idealistic.
That's
Hey,
hard.
you risked your own life to sacrifice a creature that your god told you to sacrifice. I mean, what more ideal is there to follow than the direct order of your god? I mean, I think that totally counts.
If you say so. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you may not have acted feeling idealistically, but you know.
Cool.
Amu, traits.
I mean, I was typically impatient, and I was kind of stubborn in that I kept on wanting to explore this cave that wasn't really very fruitful.
You are indeed the stubborn dwarf. I forget what you replaced a trait, right?
I did. I changed something else to gregarious, which is like, chit chatty and
yeah.
And I don't know. That worked this time.
Okay. Yeah, you definitely get an XP for stubborn in the other one. Claudia, are you there?
Yeah, I can. I'm not sure if aggressive really fits if I went hunting, but that's something.
Yeah, I mean, wait, what's the other one? What's your other one?
Oh, fair. Fair.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like there might have been. Well, I'm going to give you. I would give you one for going hunting. I mean, you went. That's relatively aggressive. You went and killed an animal with a spear. It wasn't like trapping animals. Yes, you get a point for that, for being aggressive. You also get a point for solving a problem with physical force. So that's the way it's written now. If you solve a problem, if you're a fighter and you solve a problem with physical force, the problem being you guys were low on food and you killed an animal, that you get a point for that. Amu, did you solve any problems with physical force?
Trying to think. What did we do? We were climbing down. We were looking for. Went hunting. Dove out of the way. No, I probably should have tried to take those antelopes on head on. That would have done it.
That would have been a fight.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So no XP for that. Clerics. So I'm going to rewrite the cleric stuff. Instead of a tenet, it's just going to be a belief. And I'm going to put it on the playbook where it's just going to say, I believe, and there's going to be a blank. And then you will just write something you believe that's related to your god, right? And it's your personal thing. It doesn't have to be something, but like relative to your god and their domain, blah, blah, blah. You could say, I believe, all living things must be returned to the earth intact or whatever. You could come up with whatever belief you want. But the short story is you guys both behaved very cleric-y this session with your various rituals and prayers, and it totally had. I think it really affected the feeling of everything that was going on. So you each get XP for that. And then, did you make an exciting discovery as a group? Did you guys?
I think so. The cavern with dolphins.
The cavern with the big crater. Okay, yeah, we'll count that. Everybody gets an XP for that. Did you overcome a difficult obstacle? You were almost out of food, and then you almost lost Ozana, and that's sort of two things that you overcame. I think you would have been down a person, and if you hadn't succeeded at foraging, then that would have been.
Tio almost died.
Oh yeah, and Tio almost died. Right. So 1 point. Everybody gets 1 point for that. And then, did you acquire some memorable booty? That's exactly what I was going to say. I think at least those 3 cows are going to follow you guys around. And they have crystals embedded in them. Plus, they might actually help compensate. They might help Claudio's sister in the long run if you can manage to get them back to civilization. So that totally counts. So everybody gets XP for that. Has anybody hit level 3? Tio, Saphira, Claudio. Amo, are you behind?
I'm one point behind.
Oh, okay. Great. So when you hit level 3, you get to choose a new move.
Wow.
You don't have to do that now. Take your time to do that. Figure that out. Think about that.
Does our favorite go up?
Yes, indeed. Your favorite ticks up by 1 point.
When we level up, does our stuff doesn't?
Oh yeah. Well, I'll run you through the level up process real quick. You increase your level by 1. You regain 1 point of burned luck, so that's pretty important. So if any of you are down on your luck, you get 1 back. And then the only other thing you get is an advanced move from your playbook. You don't get hit points until the next even level.
Can I ask a little level up question?
Yeah.
I was wondering, I don't know if it was in this or in some other forum that you were talking, you were thinking about changing the multi-classing thing. Right now it says you have to be level 5 plus whatever other requirement.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check. Is it still level 5?
It is still level 5, but I might I'd be open to. I mean, part of the point of this game is that you want to be flexible enough to adapt to the way different groups are going to play it, and I would totally be open to an argument for why at level 3 you might conceivably multi-class into a different class. So I would totally be open to that.
Yeah, I don't have any arguments for that. I was just wondering if you had thought about it and changed it without writing it down.
So far, I haven't gotten enough. There's some other playtest groups that are doing stuff, and I think somebody's multi-classing into from a thief to a magic user. And I'm interested to how that's going to play out. So I'm kind of listening to that right now. But right now, it's going to be level 5. Yeah, I might drop it to level 3 eventually, just because that would make it more interesting. But
it seems like you get a lot of new things all at once. Like if you become a thief or whatever you become, you get a bunch of moves real quick.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
Yeah, that's still stuff that has to be worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll let you guys. I'll maybe we can do one more time in July. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, it'll be probably August. But thank you all for your time. Sophie and maybe Donna. I'll see you in San Diego in 3 weeks.
Have
Yeah.
fun.
It'll be awesome.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'll keep you updated.
You'll what?
I'll keep you updated. So
Yeah.
you think you'll be there like Thursday through Sunday, maybe.
Yeah, I believe that's the plan. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night.
Thanks.
Good
Bye.
night.
Yeah.